Thank you very much, Mark. All you students who thought you were going to escape a lecture from Dr. O'Donnell, it's not going to happen. But it will, I promise you it will be short. It will not be long. But anyway, but thanks so much, Mark. And good evening, well, our eminences. It's wonderful to have you here with us. Thanks for being here. And to remind everyone, this is a buona festa, questo giorno, all right? Everyone who proudly proclaims themselves sum civis Romanus, and that's all of us. This is the festival of Francesca Romana. So this is a night to relax and enjoy. God gives us a little break before the big feast day of San Patrizio. But anyway, hopefully you all can enjoy yourselves this evening. 45 years of Christendom College, 20 years here in the Eternal City. It's really been an amazing period of time. It's hard to believe that Dr. Warren Carroll, our founding president, was a convert to the Catholic faith. He was a Catholic historian, got his doctorate at Cornell. And although it's hard to believe, back in 1977, he opened the college door with 26 students. That's all we had. 26 students in a rented facility with only $50,000 in the bank. Who would have thought that that could ever succeed? It was sort of like Don Quixote with Sancho Panza, you know, very much so. But God certainly has blessed us. But Dr. Carroll understood the importance of Catholic higher education, something really worth reflecting upon. And some of the reasons that he saw there, we'd reflect with you tonight just briefly. It seems common sense, but today it's countercultural. Father White touched upon this. Any authentic Catholic education is going to have to start with affirming that things exist. There is such a thing as objective reality, and that the human mind is made to examine that reality and grasp truth. Now, I don't know if it's like this in Italy, but the average college student studying in the United States enters his classroom with only 6 hours of sleep. I know this will shock many of you here. Maybe not. 6 hours of sleep you've had the previous night. But they have spent, the average American student in college has spent 8 hours on social media. 8 hours. 120 times a day, texting, emailing, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, etc., etc. And yet many of these young people are intelligent, very bright and eager. But of course, our minds are made for truth. And an authentic Catholic education primarily has to begin by awakening a sense of wonder. It starts with wonder. Wonder at the created order, at the beauty of a mountain, the vastness of an ocean, the purity of a snowfall, or the power of a raging tempest, or how a magnificent cathedral built to the honor and glory of God. A childlike wonder at what is, and then coming to really see what is with our eyes, is coming from the hands of a creator. G.K. Chesterton, one of my favorite writers, oftentimes said, "We are perishing for a want of wonder, not from a want of wonders." Fascinating things are all around us all the time. The great Catholic philosopher, German, Joseph Pieper, wrote leisure. I know, that's because you like leisure, the basis of culture. All right, but he had a beautiful point on this where he was aware of the problem that we're not seeing things as they should be. And I quote from Joseph Pieper tonight. He wrote, and I quote, "Man's ability to see is in decline. We do not mean here, of course, physiological sensitivity of the human eye. We mean the spiritual capacity to perceive the visible reality as it truly is. To be sure, no human being has ever really seen everything that lies visible in front of his eyes. The world, including its tangible side, is unfathomable. Who could ever have perfectly perceived the countless shapes and shades of just one wave swelling and rising in the ocean? And yet there are degrees of our perception." And he concludes, "Going below a certain bottom line quite obviously will endanger the integrity of man as a spiritual being," end quote. And that's the problem we're having right now. We're not seeing. We're facing this inability to see things as they are. The second point is that Catholic education, if it's going to be an authentic Catholic school, has to promote and live with an awareness that within the entire academic community, There really is only one teacher. There's only one master. Everyone else in the academic community is a learner at various levels, but we're all learning on a journey together. And that, of course, requires humility, which, as you all know, is the rarest of virtues in academia. Very hard to find. But sadly, many of our universities no longer provide their students with a real, authentic education, one that addresses them as complete human beings. So much of education is training man as a worker to get a job. China is very good at that. The Soviet Union was very good at that. But unfortunately, we're imitating them in many ways, rather than raising the great perennial questions about life. Does it have a meaning? Does it have a purpose? Authentic Catholic education also, Dr. Carroll saw, will have to cultivate a spirit of interiority. There has to be a need for conversion for everyone. We have to convert. The need for silence, as Cardinal Sarah has spoken so beautifully of, the need for silence. And so many of our young people are filled with a type of restlessness, constant activity, hyperactivity, filling life with superficial distractions, looking for happiness in the wrong places, and then getting into a point where they have lots of knowledge, lots of data, but very little wisdom in which how to interpret data, what to do with that particular knowledge, leading us to neglect more and more the spiritual good. St. Thomas said that that type of restlessness and activity was a type of sloth, actually, because then you just go after the superficial goods for bodily pleasure and you tend to neglect the spiritual. And in that situation, young people, human beings in general, cannot flourish. We need to help them realize that all things on the face of the earth are given to us as gifts from the hand of a loving God and a loving Creator. I still remember I was in St. Peter's Square and I heard the first homily preached by St. John Paul II, who was made Pope, back in October of 1978. And I always remember that because I thought it was such a powerful homily. And you know what the Holy Father said? I quote, "So often today," see, this doesn't ring true today, "so often today, man does not know what is within him, in the depths of his mind, in the depths of his heart. So often he is uncertain about the meaning of his life on earth. He's assailed by doubt, a doubt which turns into despair." If we don't know who we are, if we don't know the meaning of life, how can we thrive? How can we flourish? It leads to despair. It's my fervent belief that our efforts at Christendom College are a key component in the renewal of the church and helping our wounded culture. Our students are intellectually and spiritually alive, and now we have sent forth in our 45 years, literally, there are thousands of alumni out now who are making a difference in the world because of a rigorous liberal arts education and a formation. As business leaders, policy advisors, priests, we now have over 100. Remember, our first graduating class was 2 people. All right? We have now over 100 men ordained to the priesthood of Jesus Christ, close to 60 women religious, but also teachers, founders of schools, military officers, doctors, in all these different religious educators, and of course, lots of moms and dads raising Catholic families, which we rejoice in that. So when students come to Christendom, they're coming to an environment that is supportive of virtue, to pursue the true, the good, and the beautiful. That's what they're made for, and that will allow them to truly flourish. All right? So I conclude with 2 stories about our alumni, just to share with you. One of our graduates was a philosophy major, the most impractical of majors, right? Philosophy major, what do you do with that? You live life to the full, all right? He went on to earn a master's degree in theology, so I think he's moving in a good direction. Sorry, Mark, but Mark, you would agree with that. And with that master's, at the young age, he was only 24 years old, he was selected to be a headmaster at an academy up in New York State. And one day he shared this story with me. A young freshman girl whose father had walked away from his marriage, walked away from his daughter, and abandoned the family. She came into the office where he was sitting with tears in her eyes and confessed. And she said, "I'm having a real problem with my identity." Okay, I guess you can know where I'm going with this. All right? "I don't really know what I am. and I'm not really sure whether I should continue to be a girl or should become a boy. And then that headmaster, with a very gentle, calm manner, looked into those tearful eyes and then said very strongly but gently, I will tell you who you are. You are a beloved daughter of the Heavenly Father. That's what you are. You are a beloved daughter of the Heavenly Father. And she went on to say, you'll learn more about that in your religion class here at the academy. And she says, oh, great, I love my religion class. So he said, be patient, stay with it. And he says, that's great, assuring that all will be well, and eventually you will be at peace. And I'm happy to say that young woman is still doing very well and has been turned around by that experience at that academy with what that graduate told her. The other story I'll tell you is of a graduate who was actually a history major, but he was really good with numbers. So after Christendom, he went on to Northeastern and got a degree in accounting, and he's now a partner in the great accounting firm PricewaterhouseCoopers, doing very, very well for himself. So he had just finished doing an audit at this big firm in downtown Manhattan. And so a number of the guys at the firm, his clients that he was serving said, let's go out and celebrate because the accounting is done. Big black stretch limo pulls up. They all hop out of the office and get in, and they shoot off for somewhere in downtown New York. And so this graduate of Christendom says, they pull up to this assembly and says, where are we going? And then one of the guys says, we're going to the best strip club in New York. That's where we're going. And he paused for a moment and he said, oh, really? He said, I'm married. I love my wife. I love my children. I really don't think I want to go in there. These are the clients that are paying him. I don't really think I want to go in there. Two of the men mocked him and hopped out of the limo. There were four other guys who stayed in the car and said, thank you. Thank you for saying that. We're not going to go in there either. Okay, that's the fruit of the type of education and the type of liberal arts that we're giving at Christendom College. It's making a difference. There's a lot of good things that are going on in the world right now. The press just talks about the bad things, but in our church, there are a number of really good things that are taking place right now in our church. And Christendom College is one of those great things taking place in our church. And we're doing everything we can to heal our broken society, one soul at a time. And for that, I thank you for being with us tonight, and thanks for listening to me, but God bless you all.